Good afternoon and welcome to the special edition of the Federal Executive Forum celebrating 15 years of profiling IT mission programs in the federal government. This is our 8th annual Profiles in Excellence program, which will be coming to you from the virtual studios of WTOP and the Federal News Network. I'm Luke McCormack, and during today's show, we will discuss IT program success stories at numerous government agencies and hear from the key leaders making them happen. With me on today's show are Maria Roat, U.S. Federal Deputy Chief Information Officer at OMB. Karen Evans, Chief Information Officer at the Department of Homeland Security. Jim Jaffer, Assistant Secretary of IT and Chief Information Officer at Department of Veterans Affairs. Rocky Campione, Chief Information Officer, Department of Energy. Nick Saki, Federal Principal Engineer, Pure Storage. Scott Crowder, Chief Information Officer, BMC Software. And Greg Ostrowski, Regional Chief Technology Officer at AppDynamics. All right, well, it's been one heck of a year, and I was thinking to myself this morning, Maria, that if we had 2 more CIOs, we could have a council here. Wanted to start with you and just ask you in particular, give us, an example of a program that you want to discuss your best accomplishment, mission success, and just sort of outline, your initiatives and goals and strategies and how you've achieved that success this year.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Luke. This year has just really been an incredible year, and it's been business not as usual for the tech community. CIOs just across the board, they really had to deliver. And when I look across the federal government, the federal government transitioned to telework, and they didn't miss a beat. The CIOs, certainly a shout out to all of them, but the CIOs were responding to telework, the increased mission requirements. There was a sense of urgency, resource sharing, and that responding to guidance almost daily. So when I step back and I look at mission program success, I'm looking across the entire federal government and all these things that were happening concurrently, right? The telework, responding to the CARES Act, and really flipping over to being able to deliver digitally. And this was really the success of the investments over the last several years in, just modern infrastructure, zero trust networks, and all that flexibility and scalability of the cloud-based solutions. And it really gave the CIOs the ability to configure those commercial platforms, reusable services. And you saw how fast and how quickly the federal government flipped over not just to telework and serving their employees, that 2.1 million, workforce, but also the American public across the board. The cross-government collaboration was remarkable, right? The information sharing, the resource sharing, the need to collaborate. And this was not just across the federal government, it was vertical with the states as well. And that was data sharing, information sharing across the board. And it was really, again, incredible to see that across the federal government and how everything that was done over the last, several years was built on, and we were able to just flip over with agencies taking advantage of zero trust networks and all of those capabilities, virtual desktops, all of that. And I really think that big success is not only just that transition, but being able to support the mission concurrently and being digital to support the American public. I know my colleagues here, Rocky and Jim and Gary, they will talk about a lot of the efforts that they did. And it was just incredible to see. And I want to say that the CIO Council really came together and they identified not only what was working now, but where we need to go in the future. So I can't say enough about the CIOs across the federal government and the technology leadership that really made the response happen this year.
And hats off to every one of them. It was brilliant to watch it. I mean, it was almost like, they switched over. It was like table stakes and immediately started dealing with, and switched over, I'd say, safely and securely. And then immediately started getting into these higher order up the value chain type things, like you said, addressing the small business owners, the farmers, the veterans, et cetera, et cetera. Karen, how about you over at Department of Homeland Security? You all had a whole bunch of activity going on. It's still due to this day and certainly will tomorrow. And why don't you give us an example of what you would consider your best accomplishment there, or your team's best accomplishment, to sort of focusing on that mission success?
Well, I would really like to build upon the things that Maria said. Coming in, I came in right in the middle of the pandemic. So it was wonderful to start a job, probably first time in all of our CIO careers, where I've started a job where people aren't telling you, although I did get a few phone calls from the secretary's office, but they are telling you about the wonderful ability that they are being able to still perform their jobs without missing a beat. And it was due to the efforts of the CIO and the CIO staff. So this is to Maria's point about all the initiatives that, Luke, under your leadership, and then have continued on about the network modernization, how to move to cloud first, the data center consolidations, making those applications available. The department never missed a beat. It never shut down. It never missed its mission. And it was wonderful to come in when people are saying, hey, if it wasn't for the CIO shop being able to pivot and be able to provide our workforce what they needed to go virtual, we wouldn't still be working. And so that is a unique point in time that people really understand what we meant by network modernization, what we meant by cloud first, what we meant by why you had to do certain things in order to be able to really leverage the capabilities. So that was really very exciting. But if I had to zero in on one particular initiative that the department started that I think was really wonderful and helps us in this new environment, is the Network Operations and Security Center. So it's the consolidation, we call it the NOSC, but it's the consolidation of both Security Operations Center. So it's the optimization and looking at all of that across the board within the components, but also making sure that we can continue to run 24/7, 365. So we've combined our Network Operations Center and our Security Operations Center and really have evolved the services that the department is providing, because we really have now changed the threat landscape of what the department has to deal with. And Maria hit on this a little bit with the zero trust networks, but we really do need to keep ourselves operational. And the traditional model of when an incident happens and you shut down a service, the department can't do that. So we're running more and more like a utility is the easiest way to explain it. You have to keep all the services running while you are analyzing what are the threats? What is that security incident? What is happening? I have to work directly with CISA, with our intelligence community, with our components, so that we can make sure that we are staying operational and our services don't miss a beat. So that had started before actually shifting to a total virtual environment, but we haven't stopped the implementation. We're continuing on. The network assessments and the security operations centers assessments have been completed. And so the department is offering cybersecurity service provider services. We are now a service provider, and you either get it from us or from one of the other service providers that we're authorizing within the department. And that is how we are optimizing our security capabilities and our network capabilities. So I think that is really the next evolution of what the department has to do, and we have accelerated that implementation.
That's fantastic to hear. And, it's, in the country's time of need, right? Resiliency and continuity of government, et cetera, super important. And to have that sort of carrier class, if you will, capability just rock solid with all types of redundancy is super important. And I'm really pleased to hear that and see that. Jim, how about over at Veterans Affairs? I know there's a whole bunch of activity going on over there, everything from all the modernization activity that you all are doing to continue on this journey of, providing that promise to the veterans, et cetera, and all the other stuff you're doing with the cemeteries, et cetera. Why don't you highlight, sort of a specific area that you'd like to put a spotlight on for an accomplishment for this year?
Yeah, sure, Luke. Thanks. And great to join all my fellow colleagues here this morning. I guess the first thing I'd say is one of my favorite sayings is luck is where preparedness meets opportunity, or in this case, where it meets a threat. Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, but I think part of that, goes hand in hand. We certainly, like a lot of other federal agencies, we're on our modernization journey. As I've stressed with the department, if we hadn't done the things we've done in the past 2 to 3 years, there's no way we would have weathered this pandemic. And so I think it was about thinking differently. One of our senior leaders said, the whole notion of a black swan event is nothing in the sum total of your experiences really prepared you to address the challenges you're going to confront. And so, I'll give you a great example of that. I remember there was a story about 10 years ago about a secretary in an Eagle Horizon exercise looking at our CSOC director and saying, hey, of the 4 trusted internet connection gateways, can you drop one? And there was an audible gasp in the room that we would drop a TIC gateway. We were stress testing in our environment real time in March. We dropped 3 out of the 4 gateways to stress test. I mean, and it was, some people consider that sheer insanity. We did what we had to do to really put the pressure on our gateways, on our infrastructure, and then get those metrics over to our carriers and our infrastructure providers, our vendor partners, to make sure that we could do all of the upgrades. Because again, VA was, unlike other agencies, VAs is largely an on-premise agency delivering care, benefits, and memorial services. And so this was a major, shift in terms of workforce and how we delivered. So I would say that was the one thing that I'm most proud of, is how we're able to quickly stress test, engage with our vendor partners, get those upgrades. And then similar to Karen's story, when folks started kind of trickling back in, especially in DC in June, the response was, wow, hey, IT really came through for us, right? Almost like a surprise. I think, the story that I continue to tell in the department is those gains are perishable, right? We need to continue to modernize, continue to upgrade our infrastructure and invest. The other one, I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I'll say is also impressed with what we did around telehealth. Pre-pandemic, VHA was doing 2,400 telehealth appointments a day. Today, we are doing on the order of magnitude of over 40,000. It's about a 1,500% increase.
Wow.
Again, all of that was supported by IT. We helped the smaller vendors expand their on-premise infrastructure, and then we doubled it by putting it in a cloud environment. That was all through our team. And again, really a tremendous effort that I think everyone on our side is very proud of.
Wow, that is impressive. If by my math, that's 38,000 veterans that are more veterans that are able to receive that type of service, sort of real time, probably within their own homes, and that's just incredible. Now, you made a comment, made a statement, Black Swan event. Can you describe that to the listening audience just so they know what that is?
Sure. I can't give you the exact Wikipedia definition, but it's essentially that once in a century pandemic. Something you only see in a lifetime. Hopefully for us, it's only once in a lifetime. But it's just so differential, catches everybody off guard, and again, really creates a set of circumstances that are you've never seen before.
Absolutely impressive. And it really was impressive to see that, yes, the IT was there, was available, and that didn't become sort of the second order story out there, if you will. Always refreshing to see that. So hats off to all of you, certainly, for that. Rocky, how about over at Department of Energy? Same sort of situation there, right? A lot of modernization activity, a lot of real-time capability, a lot of industrial strength types of things that you all need to keep moving and keep modernizing and ensure that the capabilities out there for the energy infrastructure and everything else. So tell us about, what does that look like this year for you?
Absolutely. Well, it always looks different, but that's what I love about energy. Every day is different.
Yeah.
No, as you said, we talk about what we're proud of, and I think when we're done and we look back as a department, we're going to be proud of a couple things. We kept the lights on and we helped find a cure, right? And that's on the mission side. Our PMAs provide 11% of the electricity of the bulk power to the United States of America.
And PMA is what again? Just so
Power Marketing Administration. Okay. So Bonneville Power, Western Area Power, Southeastern Power, and Southwestern Area Power. So when we moved to a telework environment, we had to make sure their operation centers could be up and running. We had to make sure that the people who keep the lights on had the ability to work remotely or to work whether it was on premises in a safe environment because everybody else was out working remotely or working remotely to keep the lights on. We had to make sure that our national labs, some of the greatest scientific minds in the world, had the ability to shift their focus to working on understanding the virus, understanding vaccines, and helping kind of the country as a whole kind of marshal our resources to kind of help find a cure. But we did that, and I think there's a common theme here. We did that because of the work we've done over the last 3 years. So what am I proud of this year? Those are great accomplishments when we look back, but what am I proud of? I'm proud of the preparedness. I'm proud of what we had done for the last 3 years to make sure we could get there. And it's the same theme that I think Karen talked about and Jim talked about of what were we doing to modernize so that when it happened, I'm not proud of the 2 or 3 weeks where kind of my team and IT folks all across the department were rapidly getting out laptops, rapidly getting out RSA tokens, whatever it is to allow people to telework. I'm proud that the foundation was there so that we could telework. I'm also proud that once we were up and running, we didn't just say, okay, great job and move on. We kept moving. We kept accomplishing what our mission was. And that kind of includes everything I've talked about. How do we reduce the barriers to innovation, right? I call it reducing the friction to innovation, but how do we reduce those barriers? So we kept with the normal, what I call day-to-day things of improving how we do ATOs, authorizations to operate, kind of rolling out a rapid ATO process so that we could rapidly move innovations out there as we introduce new technologies, but still be secure. I'm proud of new contracts that we put out, like enterprise agreements. The latest one was with Google for kind of Google Cloud so that we could roll out innovative technologies, rapidly roll out innovative technologies and not have procurement be an issue, right? And within that, that we even had aspects of it that allowed for, in times of need, we can get some free compute for scientific computing. So we even built in the ability, so not only do we rapidly get a contract, rapidly deploy the technology, but we also have built in ways that we can help and kind of fight the virus within that. I'm also proud of just some of the other day-to-day things. We went full operational capability with our big data platform. So how do we analyze cybersecurity data from across the department so that we can better do analysis and better protect ourselves? So a lot of these were just kind of day-to-day things that, of course, I'm proud that we went to rapid telework. Of course, I'm proud that, I'm very proud of the department for helping to keep the lights on so that the VA hospitals have electricity, so that, other first responders can go and do their job. I'm also proud of, what we're doing to help understand the virus and help find a cure. I'm proud of the preparation we've done, but it's the people that we work with. So all in all, it's, sometimes I say I'm bursting with pride. I love the department. I love the people that we work with. I love that we have a sense of mission. And when you have that kind of combination and then the leadership of the secretary to kind of marshal that in the right direction, you can accomplish great things. And over the last year, I think within our office, we've accomplished some great things. As a department, as a team, we've accomplished even more. And when we write the history kind of a couple years back and we look back, I think that the Department of Energy is going to come out looking really well for how we helped respond to this and how we helped keep the American people healthy and safe and as much as possible living a normal lives, because we have electricity and we have the ability to get our day jobs done, right?
Certainly should be something to be proud of. And certainly if we think about, sort of the basic human needs there, power capability being part of that to enable that is very important. You certainly should be proud of all that. And all of you should be very proud of everything you've done. I certainly am proud to be and an honor to be associated with you here on this program. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network.